IVM.
Can AI tell me if the price of Bitcoin is up or down? Can it tell me when is a good time to buy more Ethereum? The answer to both those questions is yes. AI is an amazing field that makes so many processes seamless and easy, and it can be tremendously useful to know exactly how it works. Luckily, Intel's Digital Readiness Program is here to empower everyone with skill sets, mindsets, and tool sets to use in an AI-fueled world. So you can be ready to develop AI for sports if you want to as well. The Intel AI for Youth program is an initiative that guides today's youth to an understanding of AI, how it's designed, and why it's important today. Intel's been working with the CBSE, Ministry of Education, and the Government of India to empower today's youth to build social impact solutions while demystifying what AI is. How do you take advantage of this? Purchase an Intel Core-powered PC and you get free access to 80+ hours of immersive and hands-on training about AI. On completion of the program, along with a certificate, you get access to AI toolsets to put what you learn to good use. So, don't wait. Log on to futurebanawonderful.intel.com. Future Banaw Wonderful by bringing home an Intel-powered PC. Hi, welcome to a show about crypto. And today's subject actually is one that I'm personally very excited about because it's a subject that we at the show, producers Untitled Chapter and I have talked about for a while. And ever since Facebook announced its name change, which at the time of recording this is just 3 days ago, everyone's been talking about it. So we are, of course, talking about the Metaverse. The Metaverse sounds like something out of a science fiction novel. And that might be because the Metaverse actually literally is out of a science fiction novel. The first use of the word comes from a Neil Stephenson book called Snow Crash, where he mentions the Metaverse. And now cut to 30 years later, book came out in 1992, and we suddenly have this word being used in reality with a bunch of people who are trying to build, or at least claiming to build, the Metaverse. And I have many, many questions about it. And to discuss it with me, I hope very patiently, is Mr. Rajat, of the creator of EPNS, aka the Ethereum Push Notification System. Rajat, what is the Metaverse?
Hey everyone, first of all, thanks for inviting me in. So excited to be here. Coming to the question, what is Metaverse? I would say we are still finding the answer to it. It's a mashup of virtual reality, augmented reality, NFTs, and crypto, and so much more. A lot of people are defining or wanting to define this Metaverse reality. And it's very new, like we just started exploring. So right now, no one really knows what the Metaverse is. But if you have to imagine, just imagine movies like Ready Player One, where you just go into another reality, and then whatever things you have or whatever people you interact, that can be guided by crypto and NFTs or non-fungible tokens.
So this is not necessarily specifically referring to virtual reality so much as it is referring to all the sort of different tools that we've been using now for the last few years, especially in sort of pandemic life and so on and so forth, sort of coming together to give you a more immersive experience. Where are we now essentially telling people that you can just live the bulk of your life online? Like, is that what we're saying with the Metaverse?
Yes, to be really honest, we do live the bulk of our life online. But this is more like a
That's brutally
Mirror.
Honest, but yes. Okay, yes, this is more Black Mirror. Okay, let's go with that. This is more Black Mirror. It's not the happiest show in the world, so why are we all thrilled about this?
So yeah, the thing is, just imagine if you can enter into any reality, or if you can live whatever you wanted to do. Let's say you wanted to go to Switzerland, and you can just put on your virtual reality glasses and you're there. Or let's say you wanted to be in a prehistoric era, riding dinosaurs or whatever your fetish is. You can do that with Metaverse.
Fetish is a strong word. I
agree.
I would enjoy the idea of riding a dinosaur, but fetish is a strong word. But you know what? Let's roll with it. Let's not kink shame.
Awesome. So yeah, just think about it. You wanted to hunt, let's say, dinosaurs, or you wanted to ride dinosaurs, or you wanted to go on a space mission, or you wanted to just experience skydiving. and you're probably too scared like me to experience skydiving, then metaverse is there to do that for you. There are, of course, a lot many creative things you can do with the metaverse. You have a favorite actress you dream about. Then metaverse is probably the best shot at having a date with that actress or doing many more things with that actress. Again, whatever your fetish is.
So this is where we're getting into dystopian territory, right? In the sense that you mentioned Ready Player One, but what you just described right now sounds like the woman in the red dress from The Matrix.
Yes.
Okay, so how do we bridge the fact that this could, in some ways, disconnect people from their actual reality? In the sense that today, whether you look at whether it's Ready Player One or whether it's The Matrix, the fact remains that the actual outside real world in both those movies was kind of dog shit.
Yes.
To put it politely. So, especially given that we live in a world right now where we have some very immediate real world problems, very real world, very immediate, very scientific problems. Is the metaverse just a very creative rebranding of, say, either specifically virtual reality or the internet as we know it today to just sort of give people an escape from those problems? Or what is it? I'm still... give me an example of a metaversal, something that you'd call metaversal right now. Like I hear some people describe Fortnite as metaversal or something like Decentraland as metaversal. So give me an example of...
Got it. So Decentraland is a very good example of a metaversal play. Cradles also is a very good example. They are making prehistoric game. As I said, like metaverse is something which is still getting defined. So an example like Decentraland, I mean, over there you can buy virtual property. You can interact with people and the world is getting built. And just imagine with the glasses, you can go in that Decentraland and do whatever you want to do. Interact with players, interact with the people who you would not be able to in real life. That's metaverse. So that's one way of putting the metaverse at. When you look at Facebook, when you look at their metaverse, so it's more about talking to people or doing conference, which is so weird. Like Mark Zuckerberg, when he unveiled this meta reality, he could have done so much more, but he chose to just demo a table and people sitting and talking in a conference. But again, that's one way.
Don't you know he's a robot from another planet? Those are his actual dreams. That's his actual fetish.
Yes.
Like just the ability to sit around in a group of people and talk without anybody realizing that he's really a lizard robot from the planet Xantar. That's Mark Zuckerberg's fetish. Respect the man's fetish, Harsh.
Wow.
Respect the man's fetish.
Yes. Now you are going into meta, like meta government, shadow government, and all those things. But yeah, hey, it might be true, it might not be true. But in the metaverse, it will definitely, if you want it to be.
All right, we are in conversation with Harsh Rajat about the metaverse, but we need to take a short break and we will return to the metaverse very quickly.
If you love cricket, listen up. The Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast is here for you. Hosted by DJ, Varun, and me, Ashwin, we bring a fun, fresh fan's point of view to talking all things cricket. Sometimes it's just the three of us, sometimes we have guests, including current and former international cricketers. For new episodes every week, check out the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast on the IVM app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And welcome back to a show about crypto. We are in conversation with Harsh Rajat about the metaverse. So now let's take Facebook as an example, all right? Or like what they demoed. Or then let's take an example of, it's not like this has not been attempted before. Obviously, with technological limitations in the past, right? We've seen Second Life try and do this in very basic bare bones ways when I could take my Me avatar for a walk around in like Me World on my Nintendo. That's also a version of this. Where does sort of cryptocurrency and decentralization come into this? Because again, here's the fundamental difference between something like a Decentraland or a Facebook and a Fortnite, which is where I imagine in Facebook will still inherently rule and control the experience. Also Fortnite, right? Like at the end of the day, the gaming studio controls all major events that happen in universe, even though people can go out there and interact, versus sort of Decentraland. Where does this sort of new ethos of crypto and decentralization come into the metaverse then?
Got it. So let's try to understand NFTs first, just to give you an example of where does the merge happen. So NFTs, in its very basic sense, is something unique that you can own. And it's called non-fungible token, and it's based on crypto, which means there's something unique which you own. A single platform is not saying that you own this. That's not basically unique, because they can take it away. They can, the algorithm can change it to 100 unique things, which a lot of games used to do. When you are talking about gaming and all, like there will be one unique thing, and if that skin gets popular, 100 of those skins will show up.
Sure.
So when we are talking NFTs, these are unique things driven by math. So in essence, you cannot change it. Once you say, or once you code that there are going to be just 10 NFTs or 100 NFTs out, then that's it. So this thing, which was not there before, this thing is very unique, because now it has a way to define exactly, like, this is something unique which you and only you will own. And that's NFT, and that's why the NFT craze is happening right now. People, they want to own something unique, something rare, and now they are sure that whatever they are owning, that is unique and that is rare. I do have my fight with a different, like, JPG NFTs. I think they need to grow a bit to really become very, very useful. But NFT in its very vision is something which is unique and you can own. And then
if I could have a tactile, for example, say suit in a game, like this is tell me if this is even a correct example, which is a very specific kind of suit that performs a very specific function that someone's managed to code that nobody else can, and I can be guaranteed that there's no replication of it. That essentially gives me a unique power in the game, or this thing that somebody would have to then either pay me a very high price to take off my hands, or then is mine forever, right? And gives me a unique sort of signature and edge in the game, unlike just default skin suits, right?
Exactly. So that's the thing. Like, now it gets so exciting. Like, you having something which is very unique, which is very personal. Even something like, let's say you are in a metaverse and you have lived your experience, and that is an NFT. And, someone who has that, they get to live those experiences. Again, Black Mirror shit. But, that is...
This is not even Black Mirror shit. This is Rick and Morty shit. This is literally that time they go to that intergalactic arcade and he plays that game, Roy.
Yeah.
This is where... Oh, my God. Okay.
Yeah, but see, that's so exciting. Like, you can live someone's experience by the use of NFT and Metaverse. Or you can have a different and a very unique suit. Or you can have a superpower in a metaverse, as long as you have NFT and that this is unique, this will not go away. So when we are talking metaverse right now, we are talking a mashup of this reality, this virtual reality, and NFTs, and not even NFTs, FTs as well, like fungible tokens.
Okay.
Just to give you an example, like, again, if you look at game, so 1 gem or 100 gems would cost you $2.99. And who decides that? The company decides that. Or even my credit card, the credit card company decides what my points would be. But that is not really correct or accurate. It's just, the company deciding on their own whim, like something should be at this price. But when you look at something as fungible tokens, basically the users or the marketplace decides like what will be the value of, let's say, 1 bottle of water. It cannot be an NFT, of course, because, you will need a lot of bottle of water in a game. So again, fungible token, non-fungible token, virtual reality, when you combine all of them, that is getting defined as the metaverse. And as I said in the beginning, like, this is so new that even we are exploring answers, like what exactly is this metaverse is going to be. So, in reality, we'll only find out like 4 or 5 years down the line exactly what is a metaverse. But right now, it's NFTs, and crypto all combined together. That is forming a very unique experience.
Yep, not complicated at all. Not complicated at all.
Yeah.
The other question I have is because I feel like even the creators of Decentraland, when they were talking about this thing, they said this is not a space so much as a platform for building a space. And it all starts to sound very terrifyingly like a simulation of a simulation of a simulation. So what I want to know is something like a Decentraland is when I buy a piece of property on Decentraland and I go, all right, I am going to build a virtual armor store here. You can come and buy cool weapons, etc., whatever. What is that piece of land that I own? Is that an NFT or is that a different kind of property on its own in Decentraland? How does that work?
Got it. First of all, not a complicated question at all, Rohan. I would say that's an NFT. Like that particular unique piece of land you are owning, that's an NFT. Whatever you're building, I would have to actually go into the technical documentation of Decentraland to find out exactly what that is defined as. But yeah, that's the idea. The idea is like you have a virtual world and you're building anything, or you're building experiences. I mean, just for an example, Decentraland. So I was talking to Decentraland Foundation, or third-party guys of Decentraland who love Decentraland, and they wanted to build a messaging system off of us. By the way, we are Ethereum push notification service. So yeah, again, that's something that they wanted to do, and it sounded so exciting because wallet addresses can send messages and notifications to each other. Because communication is not there. But yeah, me plugging EPNS aside, let's look at other examples as well. So let's...
We strongly recommend and we strongly welcome all guests plugging their personal projects.
Of
Absolutely.
course.
Like you should use the space. How could you not? Yes. You have to use the space to do it.
Yes. So guys... EPNS was
guys.
First and only communication layer which allows you to send notifications to DApp, smart contracts, and everything else. Just think about whatever notifications come to your mobile phone that's driven from Web 2 world, like anything which you do on Web 2.0. That is coming from notification. Even this meeting was a notification. Your bank alerts are notification. But when you come to crypto, notification or communication is practically absent, and we are bridging the gap for that. So yeah, plugging in aside.
The best thing about this podcast is that the ad breaks happen in the podcast. You don't actually need to cut away from the podcast.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's a seamlessly integrated experience that we offer to our listeners that no other podcast can truly offer. And we don't even have to say Squarespace or anything like that, like most podcasts on earth. So yeah, there we go.
Yep, exactly. And someday we might have an NFT about this. So
we might. Who knows? Yeah. But okay, so here's a question. What currently are tokens that are being used in the metaverse? And if you could just have examples of to just sort of draw this line back to cryptocurrency directly.
Sure.
What tokens are being used in the metaverse and how?
Sure. So, I mean, there are a lot of tokens like Mana from Decentraland is one. Then there is CropBytes, which is CRX. They are just launching their token. That's an Indian project that is getting into metaverse. Then there is Cradle, the prehistoric game which I was talking about. They have their token. And then there's so many more which are going to come. In essence, tokens or, these metaversal tokens, they define what the metaversal rules will be. And, I think at one point of time, these tokens, they will kind of move from one metaverse to the other. So just imagine, you have a sword in a game, which is an NFT in one single metaverse. When you move to another metaverse, that same NFT can basically transform to, let's say, a suit. But a better example is, let's say, the experience which you have in a game. How tough it is, like, you level up in a game, like you go to level 60 and then, the game dies down. And then you're moving to any other game and now you have to start with level 0. So as I said, NFTs can also store your experience. So in the metaverse, when you plug in your NFT, you are basically plugging in your personality. You're basically plugging in your experience. And, that basically becomes a life of its own, like a second life. So that's exactly what the metaverse is about. And the tokens or the projects that are trying to increase this limit I'm very bullish on Decentraland, Cradles, Drop Bytes, and many more.
Well, that's absolutely what we need in the world of gaming. More maxed out stats, overpowered players, stomping noobs. This is a very positive direction for gaming.
Yes.
Definitely. But thank you. That kind of answers most of my questions. And I feel like the other questions that I have are now only going to be answered by time and seeing how this metaverse actually develops. So, Harsh, Rajat, thank you so much for very patiently answering our questions about the metaverse. This has been a very fun conversation. And I look forward to seeing you in the Matrix.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean.
Sometime soon.
Yep. Look forward to seeing you in the Matrix and, making sure our fetishes are fulfilled.
It's anything can happen.
Yeah.
Who can say? This is going to be the title of the episode.
Yeah.
The Metaverse and Fetishes.
Yep.
Sky is the limit.
It's a nice title. I would watch it.
I think it's catchy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. I think anybody would. That's how, and that kid is how clickbait is born. On that note, thank you so much, Harsh. You're in Lisbon, so we don't want to keep you any longer. Enjoy your stay, and we will chat soon.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks for having me. Bye for now.
See you.
Hey everybody, it's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast, DJ and Ashwin discuss how Pakistan won against India, ending its 29-year World Cup streak, and discuss some of the other matches from the Super 12 round of the T20 World Cup. On Agla Station Adulthood, learn all the skincare essentials with dermatologist Puneet Sarogi as Ritasha and Ayushi ask him about skincare routines. On Hans Fani, listen to an interesting story, Dustbin Mein Peak, about how the government targets the common man to divert people's attention from political corruption. On the Habit Coach Kannada podcast, Ashton introduces the concept of a sleep primer and how we can use it for better. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Cred, Bank of Baroda, Quarter, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Flay Coffee, Intel, Kotak Mahindra Bank, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Do you wonder why China does the things that it does? Or want to know how we could improve online privacy? Or perhaps you're thinking about how we can kickstart India's economy. If you'd like to search for the answers to such questions, check out All Things Policy, a daily public policy podcast that covers everything from employment figures to aircraft carriers. Tune in from Monday to Friday for new episodes and fresh takes.